Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be covering the live letter that came out of the 5-year anniversary broadcast for Final Fantasy XIV. Now, apologies in advance for my audio. I am recording this from my hotel at PAX West, and for some reason my laptop won't recognize my headset. And I have no idea why, because it's worked every other time. So this little thing, this little camera, that microphone is the microphone I'm using. So I'll do my best to speak in that direction at the very least, but audio is not going to be great this video, so sorry. Another thing is that this was a kind of odd live letter, and you'll understand why very soon. So we're used to kind of Final Fantasy XIV and Square Enix being very predictable in their schedules and how they're going to do things. And this broke conventions because apparently this live letter actually happened a week earlier than it would normally happen, just because they wanted to put it in the 14-hour broadcast. So they started off the live letter by showing us the first boss of Omega Alphascape. We thought they were actually starting with the trailer, but it turns out the trailers wasn't ready for this live letter. Now, on the surface, that doesn't make any sense because, they're doing a live letter, so normally 10 days after the Part 2 live letter is the patch. Well, apparently the patch was scheduled for September 18th, but again, the only reason why we're getting this live letter now is because it coincides with the 14-hour broadcast, the 5-year anniversary. So it started off by showing us Chaos, which the first boss Omega Alphascape being the last boss of Final Fantasy I, that raises some interesting possibilities because for those who don't know, there's actually been a string of leaks with Final Fantasy XIV. I don't remember if it's 4chan or Game FAQs. I always see people link Game FAQs. That's the one I always reference. But there's been like a string of those leaks now for a few months, and they've been pretty accurate. And this guy supposedly leaked the bosses for Alphascape. And he did have the first boss listed as Chaos. Now, that would mean that he listed the second boss as Midgardsormr, the third boss as Omega, and the fourth boss as an original called Adam and Eve. Now, I don't take leaks, I guess, necessarily, like, for verbatim, but this guy's got a track record. My only thought is if this guy is, like, doing this, they gotta internally figure out who it is. Because, I saw that and I was like, that's dumb. There's no way that's gonna be it. And now I'm not so sure about that. But it's not a good thing to have that within the company, so they got to figure out who it is inside the company. Because it's got to be somebody. Probably if it's Game FAQs on 4chan, it's got to be one of the Western offices. But they got to figure out who the hell it is and axe that person real quick because I don't want to know these things in advance because now I'm just like, oh, now I think I do know all the bosses. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it was just like that. Maybe the first part was serious and the rest of the parts weren't. I don't know. But Chaos is here, and the last boss of the game being the first boss completely throws out my thing about how you can't do that, or it doesn't make sense to do that. But to be fair, at least with Final Fantasy I's Chaos, technically, if you were going to do like a final boss style thing, you'd have to start with Garland, and then work your way up to Chaos, and they probably don't want to do that, considering it'd probably be pretty confusing to have Garland, and then we have Sid Garland, or Garland, which is pronounced the same way, but yeah, either way, it looks cool. The arena looks cool. He looks like a slightly less swole Sephiroth for the most part. You can fall off the arena, of course you can. Why not? That's always great for a first fight in a raid tier with pugs. That's always gonna be pleasant. Yeah, and then they just showed off. He just ran around and got auto attacked by Chaos, but they wouldn't show any more bosses because it was all spoilers, which further substantiates those leaks that popped up otherwise. So then they move into the next. The trailer will come like this or soon this week, next week, probably Monday, to be honest. Since it wasn't here with the live letter, they're probably just going to release it as soon as it's done. And we'll do a video on that when it actually pops up. It's probably just going to be another one of those 4-minute ones where they do the cuts between with the story and the previews of the content itself. Either way, though, we'll make sure that when that's actually available, that it's going to that we'll have something on the channel. So the patch, again, launching September 18th. Yeah, this live letter just being here. And I think it's just the timing of this live letter that's making it this way, because when they don't do the trailer, they generally don't show off gear designs either. And they didn't do either of those things, because normally in the trailer, you see some of the gear designs, and they go, oh, in the trailer, you saw some gear designs here, some of the Tombstone gear, here's some of the raid gear. And they, like, hold up those pieces of paper, and neither of those things happen. So while, sorry, I kicked part of my chair. While it was otherwise a completely standard live letter, those two things are things that we almost always come to expect. So it's a super unfortunate and just not a very meaty live letter. Even though I'd say about 90% of it met the conventions that I expect from one of these live letters, from a Part 2 live letter overall. So they start off always by covering the previous content if you missed it. New main scenario quests, new Four Lords quests, more Hildebrand adventures, more Domain reconstruction. We have the dungeons, the Burn, and St. Mocion's Arboretum hard mode. We have Hell's Kier and Hell's Kier Extreme, which are the official names for Suzaku's trial, which we didn't have before. We, of course, have Alphascape and Alphascape Savage. Going forward, we have some job adjustments. They did get into those. They didn't give us too many details. When I scroll down, we'll see them in a second. But Black Mage, Red Mage, and Samurai are all getting buffs, specifically in the form of potency buffs. Red Mage is getting buffs to both its single target and its AoE, because it's falling pretty far behind, like unacceptably far behind the other two casters at this point. You know, you could be a Res Mage, and that's great, and you can hold a lot of value in that, but it has more and more just not been scaling well with the gear compared to the other casters, especially with Black Mage getting buffs. I feel like this is deserved. They're also going to be making other various job adjustments. They're not going to be super major, so Dark Knights, who are hoping to see something crazy, I personally think they'll hold a full Dark Knight rework for the expansion and not do another mid-expansion one. But I do think that, you know, Warrior seems to get these major mid-expansion adjustments, and it happens, you know, it just seems to happen, like 2.0, 4.0. So I'm curious if going forward, if maybe a non-Warrior job can get that done in the middle of a single expansion. Also, so they're going to be making it so certain effects apply instantly. Passage of Arms was listed as one of them. The Astro Bubble's another one that kind of needs that love. And honestly, let's be honest, Hallowed and Benediction still need those things. Like, they technically made that adjustment to Hallowed and Benediction. It doesn't feel like they made that adjustment to Hallowed and Benediction. Sorry, my nose itches all of a sudden. It's because I'm talking too much. So roll action slots being increased, in case you didn't know. We only have 5 slots currently. It's going to go up to all 10, so you can use all 10 roll actions all the time. So you never really have to make a decision. You're just always that versatile all the time. PvP updates, they're going to add focus attack to the quick chat, and they're going to add some PvP HUD layouts. They're going to make it so they can be adjusted on the Wolves Den Pier instead of only within the matches themselves. Yeah, here you go. Here's some other things. So we'll be covered in more in-depth later. Specifically means that it'll be in the patch notes, so please look forward to it. We also have the Lost Canals of Uznair updated. They're adding a new dungeon to the Lost Canals, which is called the Shifting Altars of Uznair. So whenever you go into Uznair via one of the Stormblood map portals, you know, when you're going into specifically Lost Canals, not Hidden Canals, you'll have a chance of finding the Shifting Altars instead. So it'll be random which of the 2 dungeons you'll actually end up in. And there's actually a whole gameplay section on the Shifting Altars, which we'll cover later. In 4.45, we also have the 3rd installment of Eureka, which I said is going to be fire-themed, so Pyros, I think, is the one that people are leaning to the most. The logo system is going to be added, which will allow roles to kind of reach outside of their role, like a tank DPSing, I guess, more efficiently, or a DPS tanking. I don't know how that's going to work with healers, but whatever. And of course, the weapon itself is going to be upgraded. They made a specific comment about the weapon, how it's going to be scaled. Adjustments will continue to be made to Pagos. The logo system used in Pyros, as mentioned in the previous slide letter, lets jobs play different roles. Somewhere it's mentioned a little bit later down the line that the weapon itself, there's going to be adjustments to make sure that it's of adequate strength. Because it's the last item level increase of the expansion, supposedly, or, you know, just because that's how it's worked in the past. It should probably start off like only around Suzaku weapon level, I'd have to imagine, and then it'll develop into something that should be the best weapon for the entire for the remainder of the expansion, however long that may be. So we'll have to wait and see. Also gathering and crafting, of course, getting new recipes, new fishing holes. Loey's getting her custom delivery rewards adjusted. We're getting the captain rank for our grand companies. There's going to be new squadron updates, new command missions, new squadron missions to attain the rank of captain. New tier of crafted equipment as usual, buffs to squadron and whatnot to help with catching up on grand company rank. So squadrons in particular are going to be getting a little stronger. They're adding new options and anniversary ceremonies for the ceremony of bonding. Group poses getting some new settings, time and weather settings, new screen effects, minion actions, walking, running, animations. Here it is. Pyros weapon subset will require balances that doesn't intersect with raid weapons, but the subparameters will go beyond max. In Eureka only. So specifically, the weapon itself will be even more efficient in Eureka, but it'll still be like a good weapon outside of Eureka. It's just going to be even stronger inside Eureka than it is outside of Eureka. Which for me is whatever. I guess they're adding, I guess for me, that tells me they're adding the quote Eureka effect to the weapon itself. You know, stuff like what Optical Hat and Speed Belt has. That would be my thing. And I'm curious how much farther they'll go with the Eureka effect inside of Eureka itself. Because right now it's all Reduces your GCD by 3%. You know, it's all haste plus 3% or minus 3%, however you want to look at it. And yeah, I wonder if they'll go any further with that. Then there's also some other stuff, of course, new tomestones, Crystal Tower unlock requirements being revised. They're removing the fates from that. Duty recorder, they're going to increase the number of recordable duties and revise some of the features. Unending journeys, I can't remember what they said this feature was. I remember it not being what I wanted it to be, so I'm not overly concerned. They make it so configuration data can now be saved to the server, accepting display settings. And they did confirm that they're being very careful about this feature. It will release to PC first. Specifically, they said first, meaning that they are trying to get that feature working for the PS4 as well. They're adding an alarm, so you can set an alarm clock in the game to either Eorzean time or local time. And I had kind of first seen that and been like, what? And then I realized you could have things like timed nodes, raids. If you have like a real life obligation, you need to get off the game, you can set the alarm in the game as opposed to setting it on your phone. So it's a pretty good feature overall. So it's one of those little things that I never think to ask for because I'm always thinking of like content, like, you know, like fights, raids, and stuff. So, you know, but it's a nice little thing. Improvements in the minion amount guide with the favorite and search lists. We went over that from one of their blogs. Available PC first, alarm, and then they went off to showing Suzaku, Hell's Kier, which is like, I think it's like a kettle or a pot or something like that. And Suzaku cracked me up. So Suzaku starts off here, you know, hey, let's fight, and then goes into a fiery ball and then comes out with a dress on. So she is she just had to swag up a little bit, I guess, before she actually got into the mood to actually fight. And he just ran around and got attacked by Suzaku for a little bit. Suzaku is basically a Phoenix, so we should expect some very similar Phoenix mechanics. There's those 4 ads on the arena. When Suzaku does this room-wide AoE, those ads revive and they like tether to somebody. We don't know if they tether to a DPS every time. We don't know if they tether to the people who hit them. And then if you don't kill them fast enough, then it's going to be a wipe. Because next time Suzaku does the resurrection skill, it looks that it kind of enrages the encounter. And also, Suzaku had some sort of big conal AoE as well and had a tank buster. So there's, you know, some of the standard stuff. Hoping that collectively it ends up being a pretty cool encounter. You notice there's like broken pieces of platform over there to the right. Although looking at the minimap, it doesn't look like they're interactable at all. But, you know, always willing to be wrong. So then moving on past Suzaku, then we get to the Lost Canals of Uznair update with the shifting altars of Uznair. So it's basically a roulette wheel. You know, when you go in, there's a chance of you getting Lost Canals, there's a chance of you getting the shifting altars. So the music will be the same as Byakko for the first half. Oh wait, never mind. That's for Suzaku. The music will be the same as Byakko music for the first half of Suzaku. And then the second half of the song for Suzaku will be the Suzaku exclusive song. So the first half of Byakko is the like 4 Lords theme, and then they each have their own theme. And even apparently the lyrics, or no, the person who voice acts Kryl is going to be singing the second half for the theme for Suzaku. So we go into the shifting altars, and basically the shifting altars is a roulette that gradually works more against you. I don't know what this is. This is, I guess, just some sort of command for I don't know, some sort of, that's not the kill command. It's some sort of line of command that they showed off. So we have the wheel here. Now the 4 Atomos looking ones, you can see them to the top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, surrounding the exclamation mark and the diamond. Those are exits. If you roll those, it immediately rejects you from the dungeon or ejects you from the dungeon. If you land on the other things, the big things you're looking for are the singular diamond, the triple diamond, and the big diamond, which is under where his like HP and MP is. And those will spawn a boss, and then you fight the boss, and then you get those rewards. I think if you get the ones on the east and the west, the ones that are just like enemy icons, I think you just fight a bad guy, and you don't actually get anything. But I don't know exactly what it is. And the yellow is a surprise, which we didn't actually get to see. So blue diamond is a small win, green diamond is a medium win, and the big red diamond on the bottom is the biggest win. So they spun the roulette, they got the small diamond, and they got a chimera. He used the kill command to kill the chimera, and that's it. And it automatically moves to round 2 after opening the chest, and then it goes up to 5 rounds total. So that's your best bet. But basically every time you spin it, you know, what I like about this is you don't necessarily have to make it to the last spin in order to get the biggest reward, but it's 5 chances to get the big reward, which is the big red diamond. So yeah, they killed the chimera, they opened the chest, you got a bunch of rewards, you got some tomestones, and then they moved on, and then he was allowed to spin the wheel again. Now, the second spin has similar odds to the first spin, but after that, the odds of your spins start going down. So, Boss Gauntlet continues, yada, 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 then Fenrir spawned, and now, by the time he was on his 4th spin, you can see that there's now a total of 6 Atomos ejection panels, and landing on them is just, you get ejected. And the animation for the ejection is pretty cool. Atomos just spawns in the middle of the room and just sucks everything up. I'm a big fan of the canals. It's one of those pieces of content that I'm happy that they have it in the way that it is. I feel like they could do more with it. So this is beginning to, I guess, dive into that could do more with it kind of style. Because now I'm holding the expectation in 5.0 that we'll have both these styles of dungeons for whatever the next one is, and then we'll have another new one at some point down the line there, and then, you have a 33% chance of getting, each of those. I just think there's more that could be done with it, but I'm happy with the way that it is now. So, very much looking forward to trying to make a little bit more money inside of the shifting altars of Uznare. Now, they also showed off the FanFest rewards, so he made sure to get his Lalafell dressed up like Cloud, went Dark Knight with a nice big sword. And then you have the Lalafell-sized Fenrir bike, which goes hilariously fast when it's that small. And then they also showed off the minions for the different FanFests. So this is revealed later in the live letter. But Tifa is going to be for North America, Cloud's going to be for Europe, and Aerith is going to be for Japan. So you can see it's kind of like the old Final Fantasy VII, like OG-style Cloud graphics, but they've kind of like rounded them out a little bit. They're not as blocky as you'd expect them to be. And then, so, you have Cloud, there's Aerith. I don't like the way you're holding that sword behind Aerith, Yoshida. And she's got the little basket of flowers, and then we scroll down a little bit more, and then we have Tifa standing there looking tough. So those are going to be the minions from the FanFest. Remember, if you're not attending FanFest, the live stream to watch everything except the concerts will be free. There will not be a paid version at all, so the concerts are just not going to be available. It'll be live streamed on Twitch. And you can purchase any of the minions or the Fenrir bike off the Mog Station, as opposed to purchasing a digital ticket for the live stream and then getting those with them. So if you don't want one, you can just buy the one that you do want, and if that way you can just watch all the live streams and the opening ceremonies to your own, just to your own liking. We're getting the mannequin system for housing. This is a system that's largely requested because of Final Fantasy XI. It's a system that allows you to display armors in your house, and it seems like they actually did do a pretty good job with this one. You can set them up with different poses, you can set them up with different outfits, different looks, and on top of that, you can use them as vendors, in a sense. Things that your mannequins are actually wearing can also be sold on the market board, so you can use them as like a visual display, almost like setting up a boutique, in a sense, but that's purchasable on the market board itself. I think you can also you can buy them right from the mannequins. So I think like if you see them and you really want them, you can just purchase them off the market board there. I don't think it strips the mannequin. I'm pretty sure it's just like, hey, these items are available, blah, blah, blah. And you can see like, the body piece is selling this for 14,000, and then the legs for 14,000, the boots for 14,000. By the way, people digging these coats. Everyone in my chat was digging these coats. And, yeah, and they'll take requests for different versions of mannequins. So, like, if people want Rogadins, then they'll do that as well. Right now, they're pretty basic in terms of the mannequins themselves. Yeah, it won't affect the appearance. Yeah, it'll show sold out, but it won't affect the appearance of the mannequin overall. Okay, so that's a good news. That's a good thing to have. And then also, you can choose not to sell from the mannequins. So you don't have to put things up for sale with your mannequins. It's just an available option if you would like to do it. And this is going to be in 4.4, just to be 100% clear. Yeah, display without selling. You can sell the gear as a full set, so people have to buy the entire set, or you can sell the pieces individually. Although it seems to be tied to your retainers, like the items that are being sold on your mannequins are still technically being sold through your retainers. So it does this like convoluted system of like going through both systems to get to it. Let's see, you can select the class, job, race, and sex of your mannequin. So I guess never mind, that's not what they meant with the Roganin thing. And yeah, pretty customizable with that. Again, I'm not really big on housing features, but this is I guess more in depth than I would have originally expected them to take a mannequin system. But for now, they're working on that. They're going to work on the UI a little bit more. And then on top of that, you also have the house appeal setting. These are tags they mentioned in the previous live letter where you'd be able to how would I describe? You'd be able to, like, if you role play as a certain type of house, like a cafe or a boutique, you'd be able to set that up like a tag for your house. So that way your house would function as such. And so they mentioned that before, like tavern shop, mannequin shop. House tags will show up on the ward list for people searching for it, as well as your house profile. Then they showed off the Gold Saucer updates. We're going to be getting these jump puzzles in the Gold Saucer with the new gates. And basically, you'll join and you'll have 10 minutes to climb to the top. And while you're climbing to the top, there's tokens, there's bronze tokens, silver tokens, and gold tokens. And these give you additional MGP rewards if you're willing to go out of your way to actually collect them throughout the jump puzzle itself. So you can see here for our first location, there's a bronze one right up there. Oh, sorry, you might have heard the echo of my computer giving me an update alert while I was doing this. So yeah, Yoshi P, he was jumping through and, he just grabbed a few things. He grabbed a few of these platforms. And then he fell off and he was really, really upset about falling off. His face was tilted because he immediately fell off again. And on top of that, there's more than one path to the top. In fact, he had to take 2 different paths altogether in order to get 2 different of the bonus tokens. So it's not just a straight jump to the top. It's, trying to maximize that MGP reward if you need it, while trying to do something that's a little bit different for the game. So it is pretty intensely designed, I suppose. And that was it for the first half of the live letter. The second half of the live letter is I'm speaking with, let me get her name correctly, quest designer, I'm probably going to get this wrong, quest designer Saki Takeyanagi. And these are the second parts that I would love to be more invested in them, but because of the language barrier, it's hard for me to really get invested in these second halves because, quests, when I think of quests, I do think, are you the one who sent me to the Waking Sands? And she does have, patch 2.1 and on, the 2.x, 3.x, 4.x. She worked on the Azim Step is a big one. Oh, they did translate it over here on the right. NPC design and outfit coordination, and that's kind of her big thing. It's not necessarily like she says, hey, these are how the quests are going to work. She mostly focuses on NPC design, although you can see design and text for the animal weapon was something she worked on. The main scenario of Raubon's rescue and the hunt for Bismarck, the Tataru side story quests, Hildebrand. So she has worked on, the quests themselves, but she is very much focused on the NPCs, their aesthetics, and how they interact with the character. And again, this is all stuff that is stuff that I normally would be more invested in. It's hard for me to follow along and actually be invested in it without being able to properly understand, just because I don't speak Japanese. So scroll through most of this until we get to the announcements. This is stuff that, by the way, is all on. I probably should have said this at the start of the video, but because I'm at PAX West, my brain's a little mush. I am getting all this information off of Reddit. The unofficial translations that we read nowadays come off the Reddit translations and mining section on the Reddit Discord itself. So I include a link to that in the description of the video. Go to the Reddit Discord translations and mining. You can get all these screenshots, which are courtesy of Headschedule, and you can get the translations, usually courtesy of Illuna, Luna Minori. Shinitan also did a lot of work with this one in particular. They said with the assistance of Illuna. So thank you to those three who, were the names that I saw the most and who were doing all the work. Should have said that at the beginning of the video, but I'm not going to start the video over. Yeah, and then they're just going through conveying emotion, armor design. This is where they went to announcements with FanFest. They confirmed which minion was going to be from which FanFest. They also confirmed the trial for FanFest. We're going to be fighting Yojimbo at FanFest, and I think that goes without saying that means we are expecting a trial for him in the main game in 4.5. That's how they did Odin. That's how they did Proto Ultima, sort of. And so Yojimbo, we are very much expecting the trial to hit the main game sometime in the 4.5 series. How difficult will it be? Normally these ones at the FanFest aren't too difficult, and then normally when they bring it over to the game, if there is a way to slightly increase the difficulty, they normally do. I guess the only question is he going to be part of the Hildebrand questline, or is he going to be his own separate thing? They've been pretty adamant about not wanting Hildebrand to have any more trials, specifically because of the unlock requirements. Having to go through the 3 old trials and all of Heavensward and all of Stormblood just to get to this one new thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's completely separated trial-wise from Hildebrand, so that way you don't have to have it done. But that, Hildebrand provides more context to Yojimbo as a whole. So that's what I'm thinking they'll do when it actually gets released to the game itself. But good to know that we are going to get a proper non-4-man version of Yojimbo. So an 8-man version of Yojimbo. And I'm hoping that his set is the set that we actually get appearance-wise, because I think that'd be dope. For anyone who are wondering about the minions go on sale as the Mogs on the Mog Station as each event takes place. So just to be clear about that one thing. Then they went over Japanese FanFest live stream, ticket sales, prices, as well as it'll be streamed on Twitch. It won't be streamed on, that's big news for me. It'll be streamed on Twitch and not Nico Nico, because, oh man, that's been a disaster in for me in the past. Merchandise pre-sales, I already did mine, so I'm looking forward to having all that. They're going to do a new community item. There's going to be a new hairstyle. There'll be a prize for various contests, like the FanFest Art Contest. So, yeah, the guy on the right kind of looks like Sora. And it's just like a really old version of Sora, so it looks kind of creepy. They spoke about the Feast Regional Championships. Semifinals begin on Friday, September 7th, and will continue all weekend. And on top of that, some new items on the Mog Station. These are more items from the Chinese version of the game. So they've been trying to bring as many of these over as they can because players have been requesting them, and they were Mog Station items in China. So when they bring them over, they're Mog Station items here. Excuse me. The red hair looks pretty dope. I'm not going to buy it, but it looks pretty cool. And then an emote, the Crimson Lotus, as well. Also, a reminder, Encyclopedia Eorzea Volume 2 is coming out. It's going to be available at the North American Fan Fest. You can pre-order it if you're attending with your pre-order code. And, yeah, there's not going to really be much from TGS also. There are going to be some new t-shirts, including a Black Mage, like an old-school Black Mage with inner ley lines, which, of course, Yoshi P is wearing. And then I can't really see too well the shirt on Foxconn, the white. I can't even really. I have a hard time discerning both of these shirts. I can like kind of tell what's on them, but it's difficult for me personally. I need to see the shirt up close. And then is there anything else that I'm missing here? The patch note reading. They always do a patch note reading. And then I think that's it. Yeah, quality of life update to various jobs. Ground effect abilities and passage of arms will have their effects take instantly. And from that point on, it just continued through the 14-hour broadcast. They did like the top musics that were voted on for the album, the best of album that's going to go available at FanFest. And that was the live letter. So when the trailer goes live, we'll do a reaction video to it, I suppose. Normally I don't do those too much because they happen during live letters, and we're not allowed to restream those, so I just generally don't do it. But I guess we'll do it for this one since it probably will be when I get back from PAX West on Monday. But anyway, let me know what you thought of this live letter, of the various things that we had in there. Let me know what you're looking forward to the most. Be sure to go to the comment section below. And again, thank you to Reddit's Iluna Minori, Shinitan, and Hezkezel for their work with the translations and the images. But anyway, I've got to go get ready to go down to the show floor, so I will see all of you fine ladies and gentlemen in the next video. And until then, take care.